Welcome to this section where I explain what selections are and what their purpose in Photoshop is. I've already used them in a few lectures, but now it's time to officially introduce them. In this entire section, we'll talk about how they can supercharge your projects. In essence, selections help you isolate a certain part of an image in order to better focus on that specific area. For example, I'll get my marquee tool and I'll drag out a selection. All these pixels that are contained in this box are now the subject of my edits. Nothing else will be affected, no matter how much I try to influence my surrounding area. This is fantastic because it allows me to pinpoint where I want to work. By isolating certain areas, colors, objects, and so on, I get incredible control over my project. This intermittent black line that constantly moves around defines my selection, and it's usually referred to as the marching ants. If you take a look, you can probably see where the name comes from. Selections can be made several ways, and we'll discuss the best and most important ones throughout this section and course. In general, we'll use the marquees, the lassos, the quick selection tool and magic wand, the pen tool, and a few very cool ones. When you want to continue to work on your project, you need to deselect with Ctrl-D. In case you can't remember its hotkey, go to the top menu. From Select, you can choose Deselect. I've already given you this piece of advice, but here I find it well timed. In case you're zoomed in and you don't see your canvas edges, you might experience some weird Photoshop behavior. Let me give you an example. I'll add a rectangle on my screen and say I've just used Ctrl-S and inadvertently I've hit Ctrl-A as well. Now my canvas is selected, but I have no idea because I'm too zoomed in. Now I'll try to transform this rectangle with Ctrl-T, but nothing happens. I'm now pressing it, but because I have an active selection, Photoshop doesn't let me enter free transform mode. So when in doubt, zoom out with Ctrl-0 and see if you have a selection active. If that's the case, use Ctrl-D. While we're on the subject of debugging, you might encounter the following scenario. Selections can be feathered through this area from the options bar. Without a feather, I'll drag a selection and I'll create a new layer. Now I'll use Alt-Delete so I can fill it with black. As you can see, there's nothing spectacular going on here. If I increase the feather value to 50 pixels and I repeat the process, look what happens. The edges are soft and we have a gradual, smooth transition because that's what this command does. So all is fine and well. Where's the problem? Here's the situation. If you draw a small selection, Photoshop won't be able to create it. Note the error. There are forums filled with people asking the same questions. Why can't I make a selection? I'm constantly getting this error. That's because the feather value is too high compared to the region you're trying to select. There aren't enough pixels for the program to feather, and thus it isn't able to make it happen. If you repeat the process but you increase your surface area considerably, now Photoshop is able to fulfill both your selection command and the feather instruction. The thing is, once you set it, Photoshop will remember it even if you restart the program. You, on the other hand, might forget about it. So my advice is to always take it back down to 0 pixels. Whenever you want to retouch an area from any project, in most cases, your first step is going to be the same. Create a selection. How you do it will vary from case to case, and that's because each image will pose a different type of challenge. In this situation, I'll quickly select the sky and I'll be a bit silly about it. I'll turn it into another color just for the fun of it. Through my selection, I'm able to isolate that area from the rest of the photo without any extra fuss. Once I'm done, I can grab this beach and do the same thing. By creating a selection, I'm getting both flexibility and peace of mind. That's because I no longer fear I might destroy or interfere with my previous edits. In this case, that wouldn't be a tragedy, but imagine if you'd worked for several hours, then in one wrong move, you'd make everything red or black and white. But through the power of selections, you're not going to encounter those ordeals. To sum it up, selections help you target specific areas with precision, and they give you comfort by setting up boundaries you can't go across. Because each image is different, you'll need to understand a wide variety of tools and techniques in order to truly unlock Photoshop's power. That's what we're about to do in upcoming lectures. So let's wrap it up and move to the next video where we get more in depth about selections.